Hello everybody. Hope you guys are doing well. So today we would be continuing our journey in CSS, and today we would be we would understand what is box model. We would understand what is box model and layout techniques, and then we'll try to code as well, and we'll see how what things are behaving. Let me check if the sound. Hello. Yeah. Okay. So CSS, uh, in CSS box model, we'll see what happens with, and then we'll try to do some layout techniques as well, and we'll understand and we'll code some of them, and yeah. Now, so okay, so we will be working with the box model. For example, content padding, border margin, sizing, width, height, max width, min. Oh, I didn't see the. Did we see mix? Okay, and then we'll see layouts, for example, overflow, visibility, ZNX. Okay. Now first we'll understand how every element is structured with content, padding, border, and margin. That is the box model. Then we'll see sizing properties, how to set an element's width height, and then we'll try to constrain it with max width, min width. Then display, for example, block, inline block, and how they affect our layout. Overflow and Z index. So we'll control how content is handled when it overflows its container, toggle elements visibility, and layer elements with Z index. Okay. So first thing that we are going to see about is our box model, right? So let's see the box model. Okay, so this is how the box model is. If I do a copy, let's have this. So basically, this is my CSS box model. So this is my content area. um this is the actual content, this is the padding, then we have the border, and then we have the margin, right? So now what we are going to do is basically, um when we apply, or for example, so the box model will be more clear when we constrain it with the specific height and a specific width, right now there is no specific height and specific width. Um, so that is the reason why right now it's not affecting that much. But when we have um, width and a height property set, then the padding and the margining will be different, right? So then we will see how the margining and padding will play out. Okay, so let's get rid of this thing, and then let's have an index.html setup. Okay, so now what we are going to do is, um, we are going to create a div tag. Then we are going to apply the properties to it. So I have a div set here. Okay, let's get rid of v. So I have a div tag. Then we'll give it a class attribute, and then we'll name it as say box. And then we'll say this is okay. Box. This box. This box shows content padding, border, and margin. So you have border, and then you have margin as well. This is now. Let's have the live server open. Oh, perfect. Let's go to, and let's do everything in incognito. Oh, I to open only. There is one already open, right? So yeah, let's okay, let's oh, what happened to my paste? It will be localhost something. Let's see if I have localhost. Okay, our localhost is not opening. I'm not able to get. Okay, let's yeah open the live server. It's 127.0.1. Okay, let's go back. Let's have this thing. So this is our div tag, and what we are going to do is we are going to give it a background color, and then okay, let's apply or let's. So now we have selected. Okay, let's have this box. Right, so we are going to use the class selector. Apply. Give it a box. Make it a box. Sorry, and then give a background color. Say let's give it green. Then we are going to apply padding of 20 pixels. So then apply a border and say how many pixels do you want the border to be. Border is going to be 5 pixels in width total. And then let's make it solid black. And then let's apply a margin of say of 30 pixels. Okay, 30 pixels. Oh no. Let's get back to our locals. Yeah. So we have apply. So this is how our element is looking like. So if you go and oh no, if you go and inspect it. So this is my content area. Then I've given a padding, a border, and a margin. Oh, yeah, let's select this div. So this is my content. Did I set padding as well? I don't know. Yeah, there's a padding, but then the units are not placed properly. So, and so I have 20 pixel padding around the box. This is my content. This is my padding. This is my border. And then I did apply. Oh yeah, again. That's story. Yeah, so this then the last thing is a margin, right? So outside the after the border, the margin that is being applied. So it's pushed from here 30, here 30, and here 30. Okay. Now changing the padding. The what if we try so when we increase the padding is basically we are when we are trying to increase the space inside. If you want to increase the space inside, then we increase the padding. Okay. Now when we want to apply like we want to change the space outside, so it is going to move it down. Now when we are trying to adjust the border, okay, so you can yeah, this is the border. So if I make like 5, if I change this to say like 10, so on one side we'll be having a thicker border, see the thick border. Now combining padding, border, margins in one element. Okay, now all the three aspects of the box model are applied simultaneously to show cumulative effect. I mean, and this is how it's applied, right? Simultaneously. So I have background, padding, border, and margin. Now visualizing the box model with outlines. So let's have a div, and then there is some property. Okay, just if I only want to say this, and I'll to give a border and then a padding. Okay. Now nested box to demonstrate. So what if I have a box inside a box? Okay. There are two. Uh, there is a default box model, and then we border box property, right? There is something called as uh, okay. So this is when we'll be actually coming up with suppose what if we okay. So now there are two important properties, right? Uh, okay, let's see box sizing, and then we'll so box. So by default, we want the padding and the border to be included in the total width. Okay, so then we have something called as box sizing. This is box. So what I want to do is we want the border and padding being included in the total height and width. So then if you want to do this, then we are going to change the box sizing to border box, I guess. So so content box is difficult. So if I do yeah, border box is basically the height and width will include the box. So height and width will include the padding and border in in and and padding and border in border box, and by default it is content. So by default the height and width does not contain uh, the padding and border. Okay, let's see an example, right? So suppose if I have this div tag here, what I'm going to do is, so let's have this background being set up. Now let's set the height and width. So I say height is say like, let's say the height is going to be 20 pixel of the container, the div container, and then um, width is going to be say 30 pixels, and then okay, let's close it. Let's and then let's add a padding of say 2 pixels on all sides, and then let's add in a border of 1 pixel. So my border, and then I do 1 pixel and then solid black. So now if okay, let's go back to the document here. Oh no, let's close this. Let's have my tail draw. Okay, so now let's refresh this. So this is my border box, right? So the container content is big, sorry, is smaller than that. Let's get rid of everything. Just let's have. Okay, so this is how my this year, if I go and do inspect, this is 30 into 20 is the content. Then I have two pixels of border. I have 1 pixel. I haven't given any margins, right? However, what we did apply, oh yeah, we give it a, so the width is going to be applied on the content. Like the content is going to be 30 and 20 pixel. We don't want that to happen. We want the entire container size to be the same, right? So what we are going to do is come to style, and then let's have box box sizing as, let's make it border box. The moment we do this, so now what is going to happen is, okay, now see, previously this was 20 to 30, now it has changed, right? So what it has done is, okay, let's see this calculation, how it's calculating. So we have giving 1 plus 2 is 3, 3 plus 3 on both sides, right? So this is, okay, so okay, what is going to happen is, this is copy rule. Let's see how it's calculating. This is my rule, right? So I'm going to have a box. Now the height and width is defined, right? So the width is along this, and the height is here, right? So this total is going to be, this is going to be 30, this is going to be 20, and then what I'm going to do is, so the content is going to be placed inside somewhere. This is my content which is coming in. Now this total width has to be 30, right? So then the content will shrink because I have padding and border also, right? So then okay, let's have, no, let's have one more box present here, so that this much is going to be my 2 pixels, and then this is going to be my 2 pixels. Okay, and then I'm going to have a padding as well, right? So from the border, oh, this is my padding, and then okay, this, let's assume, let's add in a border. So let's assume this one is my border, so that we can show that. Okay, so this is my border that is present, right? Okay, let's get it. Let's have. Okay, so this is going to be, say, 2 pixels. This is 1 pixel, right? This is my border. So here is what my border is going to come in. Let's use. So this is my border. Oh no, this is my border. This is padding, and this is the content, right? So now total width is 30, out of which 4 pixel is going to be my border itself, and then another 2 pixels is going to be my content. So total is 6, and then when you subtract it from 30, so basically you only have 24 pixels for the content to come in. Similarly, you can do it vertically as well. So hence, if you see this, it's calculating 24 width and then 49. Okay. Now min width and okay, now this is when I've given my height and width, right? Now I can apply a max width, and then I can apply a max and min width, right? So max and min width is something, This is basically for a dynamic layout, right? So let's have a max and min and max. Okay, so min and max is basically minimum is basically minimum, and then maximum, and then overflow, right? So let's see. Uh, Now, uh, so min and max is basically okay. So now, yeah, now we haven't talked about dynamic layout, right? So let's pop this. And the moment I try to shrink or close, oh, let's close this. There is a limit, right, to which the size of this is constrained to. Because right now it's not dynamic as such. Okay. Let's cut this. Now min and max are basically going to be the element will. So we are going to so if the screen is going to change, the screen height and width is going to change, then we can do something, right? So for example, minimum height. Now if the element will never shrink below, if it's a minimum, the height will never shrink below certain value. So minimum is the least smallest possible value. If you come here and say, so minimum is the least smallest. But this will be useful when we do this is least possible value. And then when you go for max, so the element will not grow. If the maximum is the largest possible value, so maximum is largest possible. So if my element is smaller than this, then if it's larger than this, or my content is larger than this, then I'll be having a overflow being generated here. Okay, it will scroll over, or I'll have an overflow being happening here. Now, okay, then now when I go to minimum, what if uh, so if the content is even if the content is small over here, it will never go uh, below the minimum, even if I have no content, right? Because generally it will be they will try to occupy the content value, right? So minimum never go below the minimum, even if the content or even if the content is small, right? So if even if it's small, we won't be able to cross this minimum barrier. The minimum barrier will still hold, right? Okay, then Let's see what's happening here. Okay, now control vertical dimensions with height and minimum height. So what if um okay, let's say we have a div tag here, and then I'm going to control this. By default it kind of ignores the spaces. Is 200 or 200 uh minimum height is 150. So now let's go to our document. So you let's have 127 dot. It's this. Alright, this thing. Okay, so what have we done? Oh yeah, there is, but by default style applied, right? Let's get rid of the styles though. Okay, let's keep it box. Okay, let's change this. So by default it is going to be content box, right? Then let's say we have an height, say 200 pixel, and then we give it a min height of say okay, what happened? I have, yeah, minimum height, say I'm giving is 150, and then I'm going to apply a background color and say let that background be, let's get to here. So this is the minimum height, right? So I shrink, even if I try to close this, you see the minimum height is still, it's not going further, it's not shrinking in further, because now we are at the minimum height. So if I increase this, um, because I've given this a minimum height, right? So the box is 200 pixels. So uh, when I say the box, I'm only talking about the content, because this is content default, right? How much content is going to be occupied is what I'm thinking. So even if the content is not 200, but still it's going to be 200 pixels wide. Now max height. So max height is basically like maximum value. It shouldn't go before above that. However, it can shrink, I guess. So if I give it a max, okay, yeah, we can do lorem that thing, right? This is like a test a lorem ipsum that comes by default. And then so this content is how much? Let's see. This is going to take this much space, right? So now what we are going to do is we are going to apply a max height to it. Say the maximum height is 100. Yeah. Okay. So let's give it a max height. Uh, yeah. Let's say the max height is say 200. I don't know how much is the content going to be. If I have additional, then it should overflow. So let's see. I don't know if that case is getting covered. It's 127, right? Localhost. No, but the content is still didn't get the entire text. Looks like lorem. Okay, let's have lorem ipsum. Yeah, yeah. This is how much it's. Mm, let's say we generated dummy text. Ipsum. You can mention how many words you want there. Yeah. Let's generate. Oh, that. Yeah. Now I guess now it's what. Let's come to your index. Then okay. Inside my body. Um. Let's have div tag present here, and then space. Let's, oh yeah. Let's. Oh yeah. This is something good. Let's do a copy, and then let's. This is dummy text, right? So mm, let's go to yes, and then let's come back. Oh, see, and then let's yeah. This is my background. What happened to my background? Oh, I did not. Yeah. Let's give that thing a class. Let's have this. This is class, and then let's say this is box. It's still coming. Let's copy again. So let's use shift. Let's you want this thing to be copied, right? So go here. Let's have a tab space, something like let's paste. Now see what is happening is the content is overflowing, right? Because the height is set fixed. If we do not give that a minimum height, then it will try to occupy how much our content is present. So let's get rid of this. Let's give it on the height. So yeah, it's trying to fit in the content, even though um, the height is okay. Yeah, the overflow is still there because I haven't given a height, right? Mm. Yeah, by default, take the entire content space. Okay. Now using display block. So block. So um, if you divide, there are different types of elements, right? We have block, inline, inline block. Okay. Let's go display property in CS. Let's see that. So you go display. If you have like a minimum or a dynamic layout, then I guess minimum height, and then when you need to, oh yeah, we didn't give the overflow, right? So let's have an overflow thing set up here. let's get rid of this height, and then you have an overflow. The moment you do this overflow, I guess that scroll bar becomes available, right? So let's go to my, see, the scroll is coming now. Yeah, it's overflowing, but then this content height is still the same. So at a time, whenever you scroll this content, the content is getting scrolled here. It's by default display block. Or let's see the display, right? You are trying to understand display. Now display property defines the layout. Okay. There the display defines display uh, display defines the layout behavior. So there are different types. Before we go ahead, let's see uh, when like when do we use which units in, this is the standard way of using units in CSS. Like for what elements you mentioned pixels. Uh, okay, when we are doing for borders. Okay, before we say this, let's go make this little bit down so that I have the screen to me. And then let's see when to use which units, right? Okay. The first unit that we are going to see is pixels. So when should I use a pixel? The pixels are you when I need precise spacing. Avoided using, okay, let's have this thing a little bit, let's, okay. And then when I need precise spacing, and then I should avoid it for font size because it will pixel it. In responsive layout, it's not recommended to use. Okay, then the next unit that I have is let's no, how to get out of the tab. The next thing that we are going to talk about is the next unit that we have is rem. This is relative to the HTML, right? So relative units. So em, okay. So em to be used when we are relative to parents font size. So for font size, em is good. Rem is when relative to the root. So it is going to be, yes. So this is, so when should we use this? When you want to scale with parent, and we have nested padding or nesting elements. If we need to do nested elements, then this one is elements, right? It's going to be TS. Then we have rem. So this is the root HTML font size. When we want consistency, so related, so related to HTML font size, right? The root. This is no. Let's do. Okay. We don't want that to happen. Yeah. So this is when consistency with consistent scaling, like all will scale. Then we need uses. Then you have so one you have one more, right? One more relative thing. So you have percentages, right? So this is relative to parent size. For example, if I'm applying a height and width on parent, then for this is good for layouts and um, spacing and margins. But for yeah, we try to add a padding, right? Not so that is inside the content, right? Borders and padding, and not inside, but it's in the things, right? Then we have something called as viewport and view height, right? So basically, now this is with respect to full screen sections, or you want to define. Okay, okay, divide or sections with respect to view height or with respect to HTML screen, right? Then you use this. So yeah, basically dividing the page when you have like footer, header, margin, and footer, navigation bar, then it's more useful. mm, okay, this is more. So these are basically when to use which units. Now we'll see display defines how. So display defines. These are basically categorized into four different types. You're going to have uh, display, not four. I guess maybe we'll count it. So first is block. Uh, so block level elements take entire screen, irrespective whether the content is irrespective of the content. Then when we make display flexes, we are going to shrink it to the minimum. Okay, then we have inline. Inline is basically so inline, we have inline. These are going to be text level. So you can say this is text level elements. We haven't seen about flex, right? um so inline block is going to have both the property of block and inline. uh when it's inline, it's only going to take the content size. Okay. uh so when we are going to apply on, uh let's use block 11. So let's, by default certain elements are block. You can change them to be inline. Oh, for example, span tag, right? By default it's just going to take the content size, right? So you can play with that thing. So by, okay, let's have a span tag present here. Let's have span, and then let's see. The span is displayed as uh, block. So then, yeah, let's, now when I come to my styles.css, okay, yeah, let's, oh yeah, I need to give it that class, right? So let's make this as block, and then let's go to, and let's add a class. So we are going to say this is, the class is block, or it's box, right? Let's get back here, and yeah, let's go to our, yeah, this is, see, it's taking the entire, and the moment I get rid of that block property in CSS, uh let's see the difference. Now it'll just take the content size, I guess, this much. This is, so some tags are by default inline, and will be, you can change the behavior by adding a display property to it. Now inline block is again going uh to allow block features within inline. So we'll have both inline and block. Okay, when I do display none now, this is something cool. So if you come here, let's say make it display none. Does it go out from the HTML? No. Okay. See, if you come here, the span tag is still there, but the display none is applied. So let's, okay, we see inline. Let's have one more arrow coming here. I don't know how to have this arrow. Okay, now let's write this is as none. So none, basically these elements are um, still present in the DOM. Still present in DOM. So they are not gone away from the DOM, present in the DOM still. But when CSS applied, or when the CSS is getting applied, okay, hidden because of CSS. The tag gets removed, I guess, something like that. Let's see, display none doesn't remove the item as such. It doesn't exist in the flow, but is it still in the DOM? I guess it's there in the DOM. It's not taken away from the DOM. Yeah, but they are okay. So basically, visually, they are not rendered visually, and they were not going to take any space. Oh, basically, what we have done is we have made the height and width equal to 0. So if there is no height and width, it's the same as making height and width 0. Elements are still in DOM. You can write your elements are still present, still still present in the DOM tree. We haven't removed them from the DOM tree. Still present. Okay. Uh, Overflow. Okay, let's see one overflow property. And there are when we are doing ZX, basically is we are okay. Display none is making the height and width 0. No space taken, so not present. Overflow visible versus hidden. Okay, so let's think about overflow right now. Overflow is when the size of the content is greater than that tag box. So then, what is going to determine is how is the okay. Yeah. Okay. So let's see. Let's talk about a little bit about overflow. So I have so this basically what if the content is more than this box. So the content is exceeding the box. Now I need someone to determine what should happen to the extra content, right? That is my overflow is that is going to be determined by overflow, right? So basically how this extra content is going to behave is what I'm going to have is how I'm going to be like how it should be. So that behavior is going to be determined by overflow, right? So the first thing that we have in an overflow is okay. No, what did I do? Let's make this zoom to 100. 100. Let's scroll down, scroll down. Yeah, let's have. Okay, so first is basically scroll. You kind of if the content is greater, then you will scroll it. You'll have a scroll bar. Scroll bar to scroll down. So that's that's not an issue. Then you have something called as visible. When you have visible, then overflowing content will be outside uh, the box and will still be seen outside the box. If I make it hidden, when I do hidden, overflowing content will be clipped. Content is clipped, and then auto is will auto. So if I need a scroll bar, it will add on its own. Add a scroll. Uh, Add a scroll bar if needed. Then I have clip is basically like hidden, right? You're going to hidden, no scroll, uh, no scroll or visible. And then you basically the third thing that you have is Z index, right? So what if I want to layer? So this is okay. I have three axes, right? Oh no, this is my x axis. Let's okay. If this is my x, This is my y, and this third thing which is coming towards, oh no, the third thing which is coming towards me is my z, right? So if I see z axis 3D, so this is my z, right? This is the one which is coming towards me is my z axis, right? So now what I need to do is, what if I want to place elements on this axis? Like, so if I am going towards origin, is this is my origin location, right? If I'm so this is 0, this is going to be positive, right? So positive, this is positive 5 4 3 2 1, and negative 1 is going to be behind, right? So the negative z is going to be behind. This is my negative z. So this is negative. So whatever is less will be placed behind, and then positive values will be placed on top. Remember, the value for z index shouldn't be very large. Like line 999, this doesn't make sense. Will be either 1 or 0, 2, 3. Mm. So you shouldn't give it a very large value, because then debugging the code will become difficult, right? It should be ideally it should be between 0 and 1. Ideal value of z index will be, what should be the ideal value? Ideally it should be between 0 to, I would suggest 0 to auto. 2000 plus is very rare. Uh, there is something called as z index war that happens. Let's see that. Z index wall, basically when you are using much bigger values, so you won't understand which is on top of what. It doesn't make sense using Z index values. Instead, we should look for some other alternatives that we might be that might be a better approach to fix the same problem. But I don't think so. Z index cannot be a very big value. It has to be a small value. Ideally, it should be between 0 and 1. It would not be bigger than that. Okay, so in the next we'll see about flex and grid, display grid and display flex. So yeah, that's all for this lecture. I'll see you guys in the next one. Till that time, take care. Bye bye.